Welcome back to the show, everyone, where we're I say usually, bring you the latest in AI news. So before we disclose what we're about to talk about, it's a big announcement, an official announcement. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, really appreciate it. And all that support really does mean the world to us. And say hi in the comments. It's always nice to start engaging with our community. So today we have got an official announcement of what we've been working on. We've been given little hints and snippets of what we have been doing in the podcast if you've been following us, but this is the official announcement. Will,
hello,
disclose it, announce it to the world. What's coming? What's here?
We've been saying that we're going to do it tomorrow for about a week now. I finally got around to it. Yesterday we were this close to doing this video, but I couldn't get my iPhone mirroring working on my new phones. I've had to go back to the drawing board. I've done it, but I've done it. I've connected the new iPhone to iPhone mirroring over my camera iPhone, which is up there. So that's why we have a bit of a different change of angle for me. But all of that aside, today we're going to be unveiling, or if you follow us on X, you might know a little bit about it, but if you don't and you're just seeing this for the first time, this is the official unveiling of our new app through Ava Technologies called Whisper AI. And Whisper AI is very exciting because it's an AI app, and let me load it up onto the screen. Here it is. This is Whisper AI, and I'm not going to go through the whole download process. Maybe at the end I will show you, but this is what you'll see. And you might be forward into thinking that this is just Will, Ben, Matt. He's not on here, but Matt's big, obviously the big pusher of this as well from a development point of view. You've just built ChatGPT, and we have, but with one key difference, and there's a bigger roadmap attached to it as well. The big thing and the big selling point of Whisper AI is that it's one of the very first apps in the entire world to run models 100% locally on your iPhone and soon to be Android device. And what we mean by that is when you download this app for the very first time, you'll be presented with a couple of onboarding steps, no accounts required, and you press download. What this does is instead of making calls to an API, like you would expect most apps do, to ChatGPT API or the Gemini API or whatever your flavor of choice is. Once you have the model on your phone, once you have the AI on your phone, you have it forever. So you can come in here and ask it anything. You can literally go, hey, and do you see how fast that was? That is the AI responding. It's not calling it to anywhere. It is literally downloading it straight from the internet and then using it on your phone forever. So this is great. I can't disconnect it from the internet to prove it to you because it's connected through AirPlay to my computer. So if I actually turn it onto airplane mode, then the connection will drop and you won't be able to see my screen. But you can use it in airplane mode, no internet required. You can go, can you tell me the capital of the UK, for example? There you go. It answers. It can do everything that you would expect ChatGPT to be able to do. It can answer your questions. It can help you write posts. It can do everything you want, and you can just start a new chat like that, close it off. They're all here. You can rename them. Soon to have lots of other features in here. If you need to, you can check for new model updates. We push new model updates. You can clear your conversations, and you can also purge everything. Now, this is literally version 1, which highlights the technology. But we have a lot more planned, don't we, Ben, in terms of additional functionality. But I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Yes, well, yeah, that's so it's an exciting announcement. And I think just to reiterate and stress the point that this is on device, no internet, no connection, 100% privacy, self-sovereign AI. No back doors, literally nothing can access your deepest and wildest thoughts. So, we can't see anything. Literally, it is on your phone. And I think, I keep banging on about this, particularly on my X account. But if you're at all worried about privacy, about freedom, and about, being in control of, your thoughts and not having to divulge it to, Big Brother, then this is, if not the first, one of the first to do this, and we've got lots more plans. So really excited to announce this. I think it's a really and we talk about sort of micro models and things like this, and there's a lot of R&D that these guys have, a new technologies that these guys have had to create that haven't existed before, to be able to accomplish this. So it might, on the face of it, seem quite simple, but it's a huge amount of innovation that's gone into this. So So yeah, just a huge well done to the team. That's what I want to say. So what's coming next? Well, Will, there's so many. We've got such an exciting roadmap for this, and we are constantly talking about ideas, where this could go, and we've got some big visions. And again, from the community, from you guys watching the video, we would love to hear in the comments what you think, because again, we're very, we want to be transparent and very open, and engage with you to see, what features, maybe it's around privacy features, or maybe it's around search experience features, what you'd like to see. So a couple of things that we've got on our initial roadmap are, what's the first one? Well, personalization, that's a big one, that we want to sort of bring into it, which is much more, being able to have, backgrounds, changing wallpapers, personalize maybe the app icon, just be able to make it yours. I mean, for example, right now we've got what's it, the day feature, night feature, so you can sort of change the colors to your liking. So again, that's a little bit personalized, but we've got loads more to come in terms of personalizations, backgrounds, making it look pretty, making the experience very nice, and giving you the ability to make it yours. What else have we got coming up? We have got internet connectivity. Now, this is potentially, for us anyway, a little bit counter against what we believe in, which is about privacy. But one thing that we've always said is there's always going to be a limitation to what on-device can do versus models that are much bigger, or indeed that search the internet for answers. So we want to give people the ability to have their AI have more skills, and that's something we're looking to develop. So whether it's skills or bots, there may be a convergence of the two. But one of the skills we're looking at is enabling your AI, which you'll be in complete control of, by the way, is to say, I'm going to enable my AI to be able to search the internet. But again, it's an option that you're in control of, and the information that's going to be disclosed to the wider world will be known to you. So, Will, do you want to sort of just talk a little bit about that? What sort of data is going to be disclosed? How we're going to enable that, and what that will mean versus what the experience on the Whisper app is now?
100%. We like to use the term privacy by design, privacy focused, these kind of keywords, which means everything that we do has people's privacy and self-sovereignty in mind. So when we released it, Whisper, and this will be also the case forever, is that there is no accounts, for example. We don't want to collect your email. We don't want to collect anything about you ourselves. We don't even have a backend. We don't have any database, any server, no nothing. We're very proud of that, and that is a design feature that we'd love to actually keep in the long run. This is a front-end app, as we'd call it. To go on to your point, when we think about new features, new skills, for example, the internet access feature, again, one of the first things we have to think about is how do we allow people to make a choice and keep self-sovereignty over what's happening with models and the app. So everything is toggleable, enableable. Like if you don't want to use the internet, you don't have to use the internet. You can use Whisper as it currently stands here, totally fine. But if you want to connect it to the internet, you can. What then happens is that you've made a conscious choice. We don't know that you've turned internet access on or off, so we never get to see what you've searched or anything new to us. What this just allows the model to do is send a query to a search engine to retrieve results. If it retrieves a result that it wants to follow up further, it can then request information from that result and give you the final answer. The important distinction here is that you are querying a search engine. So typical things like if you went onto Google, for example, and you put in what is the latest version of JavaScript, which is one of the examples I was playing with as you were talking here, it would, your phone's IP would log, and whatever Google logs, would be recorded by Google. So you're in full control. You can turn on a VPN if you like, and it would still work. You can, do it from a different phone, and it would still work. And what's most important is that we are not going to record any extra information about you from using that feature. And this sort of design principle is quite a simple one, the internet access. But this design principle of privacy will transcend everything that we want to build. I mean, we have a bunch of skills lined up, and at each step of the way, you have to enable it. You get to see straight in front of you all the information that will end up divulging to and to whom. We would love and are going to be doing everything in our power for it to be never divulging any information to us. That's super important. If it ever has to divulge information, it will be to a third party that you are enabling by choice with clear intentions. And I think that is super important.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key point, is you're going to know what information's going to be exposed, should we say. IP address, maybe the actual sort of search terms or metadata.
Some device data, search data,
Yeah.
a little bit of location data, depending on what you want to reveal. But again,
but you're going to know. That's the point.
One thing, again, with the internet access tool is we can choose where we send that query. So I used Google as an example, but we won't be querying or allowing the model to query Google. We'll want it to query something like Brave browser, Brave search engine, or DuckDuckGo as a search engine. Both are hugely privacy centric and don't record tracking like other big players like Bing and Google would. So again, we can make conscious design choices to maintain as much privacy as possible whilst divulging that and being honest and transparent with where it goes, and without us having to ever do any tracking or recording of information. So I think it solves the problem nicely.
To give the audience an indication, an idea of why enabling an AI to access the internet is quite helpful, I'll tell there's two probably examples that spring to mind. One is, for example, if you do a search right now on Whisper saying, what's the weather like in my local town? It's got no context of what the real world is, what's happening out there, because obviously it's only trained on its model. So it doesn't have any information it can access. Building internet connectivity, it's able to find that information in the real world. So that's an example of where having internet connectivity to an AI is really, really helpful. It gives you more sort of real world utility. And the reality is a lot of people use AI in a very, in a searchable way, like they used to use Google to search for things, search for immediate answers, and a lot of that information is on the internet. So that's the reason we're doing it, just to make Whisper a stronger product, a more useful product, because at the end of the day, it has to be something that's helpful for people. But the point is, you're in control of it, and you can choose. Another really interesting example, which again I was doing a bit of testing. My father-in-law was selling. Sorry for this long-winded story, by the way, guys. My father-in-law was selling some old vintage watch. I'd never heard of it. I like watches, and so I thought, I've never heard of this brand. Let me look it up. I didn't use Whisper, obviously, because I knew Whisper didn't have any access to the internet. So I used one of the others. And what was really interesting, it was such a niche, weird brand that I'd never heard of. The only results, I think it was ChatGPT or Gemini I was using. The only result that came back was actually the eBay listing itself. And from that, it gathered, it sort of came up with information about it. It was just very interesting because there was nothing else on the internet about this, because I also did a normal Google search. So the whole information was solely from its listing on the internet on eBay. So this happens all the time. And clearly that AI that I use wouldn't have been able to give me an answer unless it crawled the internet. So that's why having internet connectivity is helpful for information.
This is the thing. These models there's 2 points on this. These models are very small, obviously. We talk a little bit about parameter
And
count.
I was searching ChatGPT.
Well, this is
so it was mass, so it was frontier models, and it didn't have the answers. It had to go to the internet.
Yes, no, absolutely. So there is that. So there is all models have a set of training data attached to them, and they are trained up to a point in time. They often will refer to that point in time, like my training data cut off at whatever. And sometimes when it is doing queries, it will put in like the wrong year. For example, it will say it's 2024 because that's when the training data ended. So it gets confused about what it knows. So again, that's one thing, is that if you're asking it real-time information about something post its training data that has changed since that training run, then it's not going to know the answer. Again, if it's obscure, it's not going to know the answer, which is very pertinent for what you said. Again, these model providers that when we build these models, they suck in huge training sets, but it doesn't have everything. If it's really obscure or something that isn't in a large data set somewhere, then it's not going to know it. So that's what's pertinent to your case. And then the third and final reason why you want to give access to the internet, as well as other tools, it's called unhobbling, which is always a funny name, is because we often talk about parameter counts on this podcast and how big models are in parameter count. In order to ship a model to your iPhone or your Android device, the parameter count has to be small, because the more parameters there are, the heavier lifting it requires computationally to run that model. So there is a limit to what you can run on your iPhone. Now, at the moment, it downloads a very small model. You can see it's a one. If you go into the settings and you care, it's a 1 billion parameter model, which is incredibly tiny. But it means you can get the rapid performance that I've demoed in this video, and that is translatable across all devices. You're going to get similar speeds. I'm using, an iPhone, a high-end iPhone, but if you have, an Android device that is 4 years old, you're probably still going to be able to run this model. So that is great. And to lead it back to the internet access thing is, again, these small models, when they have to reason, they get a lot more confused a lot more easily. So yes, it may have seen the training data before. So for example, you could ask it what Big Ben is. This is a common example that we've had. It will regurgitate some information correctly about Big Ben, but it might get a fact or two wrong. So again, if you can allow it to access the internet, it can pull more relevant context in at the time, which will make it more accurate in answering. So yeah, that's a reason. That's why also we need not just the internet access, but skills in general. Is it will just unhobble these models to be able to do a lot more for you beyond just talking to it in a conversational style.
Absolutely. And on our immediate roadmap, one of the other skills we're enabling is the news skill. And
that's going to be very powerful.
Basically what that means is you'll be able to access whatever news channel you want to access from anywhere in the world. And even if you're in an area that restricts certain news broadcasters, shall we say, or news outlets, probably a better term, you'll be able to access news from anywhere in the world and access any news in the world. So again, for us, it's about giving privacy, it's about freedom, and it's about being able to access any news source that you want, no matter where you are in the world. So if you're in Iran, in Russia, in China, wherever you are, and you want to get a particular news source that's banned, we're building out solutions for that. So yeah, we just think that we want to give people the choice to be able to access what they want, where they want, how they want, in a private way.
We're really pushing for that. Alongside the things like skills, is we are continually working on the back end of the technology to make these models more efficient, to be able to run smaller models that can do more, to run bigger models on your device still. That's another thing we are going to be hopefully releasing very soon, in fact, is that if your phone has 8 gig of RAM, for example, if you're technical, then you can have a more capable model on your phone, which will be able to do more. We're also working on the technology to make that 1 billion parameter model as good as humanly possible. We would love it so that there is, in the future, no difference between you using Whisper AI and you using ChatGPT as far as the user is concerned. The only difference being is that it's on your device, it's totally private, and it is yours.
Absolutely. Well, we've got other plans, which are probably a little bit further down on the roadmap. We could talk all day, but I think that gives our audience a little snippet of what's to come and what we're working on.
It does.
Is there anything particularly that's getting you excited? Any particular feature we're about to roll out? Is
all of it
the one that you get? I can't wait for that.
Yeah, all of it, to be honest with you. I know that's a bit of a cop-out answer, but we're talking last week about weekly releases. I think I'm a really strong advocate for that, is bringing something new each week, even if it is something as small as changing the background wallpaper of your chat so you can personalize it. It's nothing to do with the AI, but it makes the app more yours, which is what our ultimate goal is. The AI is yours, the app is yours, it's for the people. You use it and have it as you want. So I'm very excited, probably for the pace of development more than anything, releasing something every week. Some weeks that will just be something simple, other weeks that will be something hopefully groundbreaking. And yeah, that's where I am.
And actually, you know what, guys, I forgot to mention, we are going to have little Easter egg surprises.
We are, yeah. We're going to make it fun.
Point. So there's going to be little things that you might discover. We might give hints where they are. They're not there yet, by the way. but that's coming. So that's cool. I think for me, it's the things that get me excited are things like the little Easter eggs and the skills news sort of feature, particularly when you can start interacting with the news. You can read an article and actually asking Whisper about the article so you can actually engage with it. I think that's going to be quite cool. And the personalization, that's going to be really, just nice. You can make it yours. So I think they're the sort of key things that I'm sort of excited for.
Amazing.
Yes. So guys, let us know, what you think in the comments.
100%.
Check out Whisper. Would really, really appreciate it. We'll put a link into the description to the App Store. Again, it's only on the App Store, but it will be coming out on Android. And we've got desktop obviously planned as well. So there's lots to do.
Loads.
Yeah. So obviously your support is really, really appreciated. And this is the official announcement. So really excited to push it out there into the big wide world, and we'll keep you tuned. So we're probably going to do these videos maybe once a week or so, just giving you updates on where we're at with it, what's happening, the latest features, latest updates. We'll just keep you tuned in on this journey as we try and help drive privacy and our freedoms forward. So for us, that's a really important mission.
Amazing.
Brilliant. All right, guys, we'll love you and leave you. Keep tuned in, subscribe, do all those amazing things, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Cheers, guys.